Welcome to another edition of Mix and a Water Monday. We are joined by Cory Helms. He's the first former player to be joining us for this new segment. And Cory, taking a look back at Saturday's game against Vanderbilt, it's pretty clear that South Carolina has a lot of work to do, okay? Not just this season, but in terms of turning this program around. With that all being said, they got the win. They are 4-3 at this point, heading into Texas A&M. If you're a player and you're heading into this week of practice, what are some of the things that are going through your mind after what we saw this past weekend?
Well, the first thing as a player is a win is a win. So, like you said, you're 4-3, you got 2 games to, get a bowl win or get a bowl bid. So you got to look at the positives. If you go in negative all the time to a week of practice, then, it's not going to be great. So, like I said, at the end of the day, a win is a win. I would think, just as an outsider, but as a player, there's a lot that needs to be worked on, just from the Vanderbilt game alone, not even the whole season. So, I think you just go in and, try to get better and take a little bit of positivity that you at least got a win out of it.
So you look at this team, and I know we had the opportunity to speak after that Tennessee game, but do you see the way that they're performing right now? Let's look at the offensive line in particular, because I know that's something that a lot of people have talked about. And unless you've played the position, it's really difficult to truly understand what you are seeing. What have you seen with this team so far that is holding them back, at least from that position? And I know sometimes it's not as easy as, well, it's just the offensive line. There could be communication issues with the quarterback and what he's seeing pre-snap, and there could be multiple things going on. But what are you seeing right now from that unit in particular?
Yeah, that's one thing, you could say like the O-line's not doing well. There's so many things that go into it, whether it's, and I don't know what's going on. It could be a, protection from a quarterback. It could be a back, doing something wrong. It could be, a whole bunch of things. Communication up front between the quarterback, running back. I think when you look at the O-line, there's obviously been, a couple injuries. I know, there's Wanham was out last week. There's been a couple guys who haven't been able to fill that maybe 4th or 5th best guy on the O-line. There's been some, flexibility on who's in, who's out. So sometimes, they're not gelling together. Maybe that hurts communication. As far as the O-line's performance, they got good players. I'm not going to say they're lacking talent on the O-line. That's not true at all. I think they just got to gel, and that's hopefully. We're just past halfway on the season. Hopefully, they can start gelling now and start rolling.
And Cory, for you, I know you've had opportunities, whether it be playing at South Carolina, whether it be, your stints in the NFL, and obviously now as a high school coach at Gray Collegiate. What are some of the challenges, though, when you do have a new offensive coordinator and a new offensive line coach? Because I think some people look at it and it's just like, all right, this is a team that had the leading SEC rusher last year in Kevin Harris. What has changed? Well, the coaching staff has changed. And I think it's so easy to look at that. Now, is that to make excuses for Marcus Satterfield and, Coach Atkins? No. But at the same time, too, would you agree that this is not just a coaching problem, that this is not just a player problem, that this is just an offensive unit problem? Or am I just trying to be too positive with that? How do you view
it? As a player, I had four different offensive coordinators in my 4 years of actually playing. And it's really all the same stuff. It's, they might call something a little different and block something a little different, but at the end of the day, there's only so many blocking schemes you can have. So, I wouldn't say it's, a coordinator or nothing like that. I think it's just that everybody's kind of new to everything right now, and they're just trying to find their fix, I guess. Other than that, I don't really know, to be honest. I'm going to whoop my dog's ass, though. Let's go outside.
Well, as you let your dog go out, and you look at right now where this team is, you saw what Zeb did, and there's going to be question marks as whether or not he should start. Luke Doty, of course. And that's the thing. We heard from Coach Beamer saying that Doty you know, aggravated his foot. I mean, I think it's clear that the guy hasn't been 100% physically since coming back from that injury. So whether or not they put Zeb moving forward, but if you're one of those players out there, whether it be on the offensive line, receivers, we heard from players after the game. Zeb stepped up. Zeb did what he had to do. I don't care that it's Vanderbilt. I know some people are going to be like, oh, it's Vanderbilt. They should have been able to win that game. They were nearly a 3-touchdown favorite. When you're able to win a game in that manner and you have a guy that steps up like Zeb did, what does that do for the morale moving forward, especially now getting ready for a difficult environment and playing at Texas A&M?
Well, I mean, anytime you win a game in that environment is huge. You just got battle tested as a team, and you had to fight through adversity to come back and get a win. And that's, I think that's the second time that is the second time they've had to do that this year. So that goes a longer way than people think. As far as having, a quarterback change at the end of the game and doing that, that's huge. And, as far as the team aspect of it, we've had quarterback controversies. It seems like there's always quarterback controversies and stuff. At the end of the day, you still got to play your position and you got to play your ball. So I think whatever happens with one position shouldn't affect anybody. They should have confidence in the coaching staff and the guy who, is out there and just play.
The path is different, but you look back to, one of your final years at South Carolina when Jake Bentley came in. After the bye week, you guys took care of UMass, and then you guys were able to go to a bowl game in a year in which it looked like it was going to be impossible to make a bowl game after the start was. And being able to get those 15 extra practices, I think that was the beginning that helped you guys go to the next season and seeing South Carolina end up going to the Outback Bowl. I say all that because, look, we look at this, we can, look at the path. The path is difficult in terms of some of the teams that South Carolina will be playing. It starts with Texas A&M this week, and then you have the bye week. What are you trying to do right now, though, to be able to improve? Because right now, I think people get caught up with the record, and I understand that, but they want to see improvement. How can you improve at this point of the year? Or does it have to wait until that bye week to be able to fully regroup and to be able to reevaluate? Because I think fans just want to see progress. And whether it be from an offensive standpoint in particular, they haven't seen that. There's been times with defense, which it has been very good in terms of being able to create turnovers. But even yesterday, great tackling in the first half. Second half, they struggled to tackle. What can you do at this point to be able to make those improvements, to be able to show people, yes, we are making progress here?
I mean, you can make improvements every day. I don't think you have to wait until the bye week to get better. Just looking at, I'm not a defensive guy, but really like a couple improvements from the defense could be, there was 2 huge plays in the pass game that could have, been kept to nothing. Just little stuff like that. You can look at the missed tackle here and there, and you can get better at tackling in practice. That's fine. But you can look at maybe 2 blown coverages that could have been erased, and that changes a game. Or, 2 missed pass protections in a game that can be erased. So I think if you get a little bit better in terms of that, and a lot of the guys are new. I noticed one guy, because he was there when I was playing. He was playing cornerback, and he came in as a receiver. Some of the stuff's new to people. There's new guys on the offensive front. There's new quarterbacks that have, never truly played in the SEC. So, they can get better each week. And if you look at the schedule, maybe I'm an optimistic guy, or maybe it's just because when I was playing, that's how I always felt. But the rest of the schedule, every game is winnable. Are we going to be underdogs in most of them, or maybe all of them? I don't know, maybe. But every game for the rest of the way is winnable. So that should give them, some sort of motivation going into it. Like, hey, we can win a few of these games and go bowling. It shouldn't be like a bad attitude going into weeks and just trying to get through practice, because right now they're in a good position to accomplish what they want to accomplish right now.
And the last thing I'll ask you, and I'm sure Gamecock fans will listen to this, some will listen to this and be like, oh, he's a former Gamecock. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you can speak for yourself. I believe if there's anyone that will be direct and honest, it will be Cory Helms. The reason I say that is because a lot of those offensive linemen are. With that all being said, I know there's some people that want to see, whether it be offensive coordinators fired, coaches fired, this moved around, musical chairs. From your experience, why is that just not a good idea right now? And what would you tell people, especially as you're heading into the 7th game of year 1 under a new head coach, and why, as an offensive lineman in particular, or just anyone on the offensive side of the ball, how that would create challenges moving forward?
If they fired somebody right now or after the season?
Right now.
Oh, that's an awful idea. I mean, first of all, that's just showing like you don't have trust in, whoever they fire, a coach or player, whatever. You don't have trust in them. You're 4-3. That's saying, whatever we've done in the past is not, where we want to be. And like I said earlier, you're 5 games. Well, we got 5 games left, 4 games left, 5. I'm not very good at math. 5 regular season.
There you go.
Yeah, you're in position where you can win. I mean, shit, every game going forward. I mean, is it likely to win all of them? No, but I mean, you're in a good position. I think if a lot of people said, or if you said you'd be 4-3 right now, and you got, A&M, Missouri, Auburn, Florida, and Clemson coming up, and some of those teams are not doing that well. I mean, most people would take that right now. You got to win 2 of them. I think it's a bad idea, just in general. Even after the season, I think, you got everybody, like everybody's new. Everybody's still trying to catch on, and they're building a family environment. You don't want to just, trash that.
Does that also make an impact, you think, from a recruiting standpoint? You're looking from the outside and you're like, this is a guy maybe I've been talking to from the recruiting process, and they just got rid of him real quick? Or is that something that you can't really think about if you're a head coach?
I don't think you can really think about that. At the end of the day, the recruits have to go to a school, for the school, for the program. I made that mistake myself, going for a coach, and then the coach was gone after the first year. So, I mean, at the end of the day, they got to make the best decisions for the program. Now, if there's something that's behind closed doors that maybe a guy's just incompetent, then sure, yeah, you got to get rid of him. But, I don't see that. I think we're fine. I don't think it's a player's issue. I don't think it's a coach issue. I mean, obviously you got to get better players, and, maybe your coaches will get better too. But you don't just jump ship right now.
And to just point out some of these final games, those 5 games at Texas A&M, A&M's 5-2, then that bye week, of course. Florida's 4-3, at Missouri 3-4, then at home against Auburn 5-2, and then at home against Clemson, who's 4-2. But they have had, I believe, 3 games that have come down to the wire in terms of one possession, and they've been able to escape. So, yeah, I think when you look at those games, there's a lot of winnable games. And I know some Gamecock fans are going to say
they're winnable, and they're tough to win, but they're winnable.
And they're going to say, well, have you seen the way South Carolina has played? Yeah. But at the same time, too, go back to that 2016 season with USC. It was a roller coaster of the year. And I understand UMass is not, Florida or Clemson or even Missouri. But at the same time, too, that was the beginning coming out of that bye week, and things got turned around. And, look, this was a team that was 2-8 a year ago, right, Cory? I mean, It's not like, Shane Beamer's inheriting a team like Kirby Smart did with Georgia, when they were maybe, 8-4 or 7-5 or 9-3. Can't remember. We're talking about math whiz ability over here. I'm not a math whiz myself. So closing thoughts, what would you just tell Gamecock fans right now? Because I understand patience, one of those words that they absolutely hate to hear. But in this circumstance and based on where this team is, what would you kind of tell them?
I mean, I hate the word patience too. And I wouldn't even tell them to be patient. I would just tell them keep being, passionate about what's going on. And, at the end of the day, like, it's Gamecock football. It's what, we are. And, keep being passionate. It's gonna come eventually. It's not gonna come right now, but don't be patient. I don't like patience. Like I said, you got 5 games left. Like, let's try to win them all. Let's go 9-3. Shit, why not? Will that happen? No, I'll just tell you it's not going to happen. But don't be patient. Keep being rowdy and be passionate. And I think the biggest thing is like going to support the guys. Like the players feed off that support. Just going to the game last weekend, the crowd was, I mean, Vanderbilt doesn't put but 12 fans in the crowd anyway, so you can't look at the total numbers. But I mean, I thought the crowd for the most part was pretty good, and then it got stagnant, and players feed off that when it gets stagnant. I think stay passionate, get behind the players, get behind the coaches, and see what happens.
I believe there's about 64,000, I believe, was the attendance announced yesterday. And
yeah, but only 12 of them are Vanderbilt fans. If you play like A&M, that'd be 72,000. Georgia, 75,000 there.
But I think all things considered, two things. One, you had the State Fair in town. Well, a couple things. State Fair in town, playing Vanderbilt. But on top of that, I think a lot of Gamecock fans did step up to the message that Shane Beamer had earlier in the week, which is if you're not going to the game, give your tickets away. We want to be able to get this place packed. So
somebody gave them to me, so thank you.
Here we go. Cory Helms was in the crowd. He is Cory Helms. I'm Mike Hube. Appreciate you guys watching this edition of Mix in a Water Monday. We will do it again next week after the Texas A&M game.